Why are some of America's largest cities so empty, despite all that space and status? What's really going on in these massive places where crowds should be, but aren't? Is it the crime rates, the sprawl, natural disasters, or something deeper that's driving people away? Some of these cities have more land than entire states, yet feel quieter than a small town on a Sunday morning. In this video, we're diving into 10 massive US cities that look big on the map, but feel shockingly empty in real life. Number 10. Tucson, Arizona. Tucson, Arizona might surprise you. With around 547,000 residents, you'd expect this desert gem to feel busy. But here's the kicker. It's actually one of the emptiest big cities in America. The city spans a massive 241 square miles, yet its population density is just about 2,267 people per square mile. To give you some perspective, New York City crams over 27,000 people into a single square mile. So even with 500,000 folks, Tucson feels downright spacious. You could drive for miles and still feel like the city hasn't even started. One reason for this emptiness is urban sprawl. Tucson's growth didn't go upward, it went outward. Picture neighborhoods spread thin across desert plains, dotted with cacti and wide-open roads. And surprisingly, Tucson's density has actually decreased by about 1.15% in the past decade. That's right, instead of getting busier, it's getting roomier. Why? Well, some folks are opting for more compact cities or heading to Phoenix for better jobs, even though Tucson has its own charm. But low density isn't always bad. In fact, some people love it. There's space to breathe, less traffic, and the sunsets? Absolutely unreal. Tucson also boasts a rich cultural vibe thanks to the University of Arizona and a large Hispanic population that brings festivals, food, and flair. But with a median home price hovering around $335,000 and median rent near $1,400, affordability is getting tighter. Still, for remote workers or retirees looking for peace under blue skies and red mountains, Tucson might just be their personal paradise. So yeah, Tucson is big, beautiful, and oddly empty. But that might just be its secret superpower. Want room to stretch and stargaze without bumping into neighbors? This city's got you covered. Number 9. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans, one of America's most iconic cities, is actually kinda empty. Sure, the French Quarter looks packed on a Saturday night, and Mardi Gras is a global party. But behind all the beads and brass bands is a quiet truth. New Orleans only has around 369,000 full-time residents, spread across 169.5 square miles. That gives it a population density of about 2,181 people per square mile, just a fraction of New York's bustling 27,000. What gives? Well, let's talk history. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit like a wrecking ball. It displaced nearly 100% of the city's population, dropping the population from 450,000 to just over 208,000 in less than a year. While it rebounded to over 340,000 by 2010, the scars of that storm run deep and the population still hasn't fully bounced back. Another factor? Crime. WalletHub recently ranked New Orleans 14th in the nation for homicide problems, which scares off potential residents. And then there's the economy. Still recovering, still struggling. Many neighborhoods remain underdeveloped, with job opportunities that don't match the city's talent pool. But here's the kicker. Despite its emptiness, New Orleans gets over 19 million visitors a year. That's over 50 tourists per resident, annually. So it might feel busy, especially in the French Market or Bourbon Street, but much of the city is quiet, local, and low density. The average New Orleanian enjoys more elbow room than you'd think. Yet, with its soulful music, legendary food, and rich Creole culture, New Orleans remains one of the most emotionally full cities in America, even if it's not packed on a map. The people who do live here, they wouldn't trade it for anywhere else. Unless it's during hurricane season, of course. Number 8. Memphis, Tennessee. When you think of Memphis, you probably imagine Elvis, Beale Street Blues, and a killer barbecue. But behind the smoky ribs and soulful rhythm is a city quietly shrinking. With a current population of about 620,000, Memphis sprawls across 297 square miles, making its population density a surprisingly low 291 people per square mile. That's right. It's almost rural in feel compared to other major cities. The wild part? Memphis is physically huge, and yet it feels quiet. Over the past decade, population growth has flatlined, and worse, many residents are packing up and heading out. Why? The reasons aren't so glamorous. Memphis struggles with crime. In fact, homicide rates tripled in 2023, while most of the U.S. saw them drop. That alone has pushed families to the suburbs or out of Tennessee altogether. But it's not just crime. The job market is unstable, wages are low, and poverty has taken hold in many neighborhoods. One recent study ranked Memphis 135th out of 200 U.S. cities for job growth and economic opportunity. That's a tough sell for young professionals or families trying to plant roots. Still, Memphis has its charms. Housing here is very affordable. The median home price is around $180,000, which is a steal compared to national averages. And the cultural pride runs deep. The city's history in music, civil rights, and soul food is unmatched. But despite all that richness, it's a place where you might drive 10 minutes without hitting traffic, and that tells you something. In short, Memphis feels big, but lives small. It's a quiet giant with a legacy that roars, even if its streets don't. Number 7. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa, a city that's trying really hard to get people in the door, yet still ranks as one of the emptiest big cities in the U.S. With a population just over 412,000, spread across 197.5 square miles, the population density sits at just 285 people per square mile. That's barely more than some rural counties. Here's what's wild. Tulsa actually increased its density by about 1.67% since 2010. But it's still quiet by big city standards. To fight this, the city came up with a genius idea: Tulsa Remote. This program offers $10,000 cash grants to remote workers who relocate here. Yep, they're literally paying people to move in. And it's working, sort of. Growth is happening, but it's slow. Why is Tulsa still so empty? Part of it is just geography. Oklahoma has only about 4 million people statewide, and Tulsa's not near any other huge metro areas. It also suffers from limited public transportation, and much of the city is spread out with suburban sprawl, making it feel even more empty than it is. That said, there are perks. Tulsa has a low cost of living, with median home prices around $190,000, and rent hovering near $1,000 per month. It's also investing in arts and culture. The Gathering Place Park is one of the coolest urban green spaces in the country. Still, the city battles problems like homelessness, which has risen by 6.6% just in 2022. So while Tulsa's trying to reinvent itself as a haven for young remote workers, it hasn't yet shaken off its wide-open small-town feel. You might come for the cash, but you'll stay for the quiet. And maybe that's Tulsa's secret charm. Number 6. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Virginia Beach is one of those cities that totally tricks you. Visit in the summer, and it feels like a booming coastal metropolis. But dig deeper, and you'll find a place that's surprisingly sparse, especially when the sun sets on tourist season. With a local population of about 455,000 and a sprawling land area of 244 square miles, Virginia Beach clocks in at just 1,862 people per square mile. That's about 5 times less dense than Boston. So why does it feel so packed sometimes? 2 words: 13.6 million tourists. That's right, 13.6 million visitors show up every year, mostly in the warm months. That's nearly 30 times the local population. So during spring break or a sunny July weekend, it might feel like Miami Beach. But come November, you'll have the boardwalk all to yourself. Interestingly, despite the quiet feel, Virginia Beach is slowly growing. Since 2010, its population density has inched up by 2.45%, which is pretty decent. Still, the city is so wide and open that you never quite feel the crowd. Unlike compact cities, everything here is spread out: suburbs, beaches, military bases, and parks. Speaking of bases, This city has a strong military presence with Naval Air Station Oceana and other installations bringing stability to the economy. The median home price is around $370,000, and rent averages $1,500 per month, making it more affordable than nearby DC or Northern Virginia. But with wide roads, clean neighborhoods, and access to both beachfront and urban amenities, Virginia Beach offers a lifestyle that's chill, scenic, and just a bit under the radar. So if you're after ocean breezes without the city squeeze, this is your kind of place. Number 5. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City is huge, 340.7 square miles, which makes it almost 100 square miles larger than Chicago. But the population, just a bit over 510,000. That gives it a density of only 1,619 people per square mile. For comparison, Chicago packs in over 11,000 per square mile. What's going on? A big reason is that most of the population growth is happening in the suburbs, not the city core. The heart of Kansas City has actually seen a decline in residents, even as the broader metro area grows. It's like people love Kansas City, they just don't want to live in Kansas City. Still, the city's doing some things right. Since 2010, its population density has grown by 7.54%, thanks in part to affordability. Median home prices hover around $260,000, and rent sits near $1,200 a month. A deal compared to most big cities. But it's not all sweet barbecue and jazz music. Crime is a real concern. In 2020, Kansas City had the 8th highest violent crime rate in the US, and today it holds a C- crime rating according to Niche. That's a big reason people are avoiding the inner city. Yet this place oozes charm. From the Power and Light District to world-famous ribs and brisket joints, there's a lot of heart here. And let's not forget the fountains. More than 200 of them, earning Casey the nickname City of Fountains. So yes, Kansas City is big and surprisingly empty, but maybe that's part of the appeal. Less traffic, more flavor. Number 4. Nashville, Tennessee. When you hear Nashville, you probably think country music, honky-tonks, and tourists with cowboy hats. And yeah, it feels packed. But believe it or not, Nashville is one of the emptiest big cities in the US in terms of density. With nearly 700,000 people spread across 480 square miles, Nashville has just 1,456 residents per square mile, far below cities like LA, Boston, or even Atlanta. Here's the twist. Nashville is booming. It saw a 10.77% increase in population density since 2010. On average, 100 people moved here every single day in 2022. But the city's so spread out that even rapid growth hasn't made it feel full. In fact, you can still find quiet pockets just 15 minutes from downtown. But rapid growth comes with growing pains. Home prices have surged to a median of $450,000, and rent averages around $1,800 per month. Commute times are rising, public transportation lags behind, and infrastructure is struggling to keep up with demand. Even worse, public schools in Nashville are consistently rated poorly, with 51% of parents recently giving the district a negative rating, down from 62% but still not great. And let's talk about traffic. Nashville wasn't built for this many people, and it shows. Highways get jammed, and construction is everywhere. But the vibe? Absolutely electric. The music scene, food culture, and Southern hospitality make it a magnet for creatives, startups, and dreamers. So while it might feel crowded on Broadway at midnight, the rest of Nashville is still relatively open, and that's what makes it such an odd but lovable contradiction. Number 3. Jacksonville, Florida. If you've ever been to Jacksonville, you might think, wow, this place just keeps going. And you'd be right. Jacksonville is absolutely massive. We're talking 747.3 square miles. That makes it the largest city by land area in the contiguous United States. Yet its population is only around 970,000. Sounds like a lot, but when you do the math, the density is just 1,300 people per square mile. For comparison, that's 20 times less dense than San Francisco. So even though Jacksonville is Florida's most populated city by head count, it's also one of the most spread out. You could drive 30 minutes and still be within city limits. In fact, the city is only about 25% smaller than the entire state of Rhode Island. That's wild. What's really interesting is that Jacksonville doesn't feel empty, thanks to 22 million tourists a year. According to the local tourism board, about 28,000 people stay overnight each day, and another 30,000 visit just for the day. It's a revolving door of beachgoers, golfers, and families heading to St. Augustine or Amelia Island. But make no mistake, Jacksonville's residential areas are chill. Neighborhoods like Riverside or San Marco offer quiet, tree-lined streets with room to breathe. And the cost of living? Surprisingly affordable. Median home prices are around $320,000, with rent averaging $1,400 per month. That said, growth is happening fast. The population has jumped 18% in the last 12 years, and density rose 10.75% since 2010. But with so much land, it'll be a long time before it feels full. So if you're looking for ocean views, suburban vibes, and a city where space isn't a luxury, it's the default. Jacksonville just might be your hidden gem. Number 2. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City, where the skies are wide, the roads are open, and there's more elbow room than you'd ever expect in a capital city. With nearly 694,000 residents spread across a sprawling 606.5 square miles, Oklahoma City has a population density of just 1,146 people per square mile. That's one of the lowest among major U.S. cities. You could fit Chicago's population 4 times over in the same land, and still have space left for cows to roam. But here's the kicker. This city is quietly booming. Since 2010, Oklahoma City's density has jumped 12.53%, and it's been one of the fastest-growing cities in the U.S. during that time. Between 2020 and 2022 alone, the city saw a 2% increase in population. So yes, people are moving in, but the land is just so vast it never feels crowded. Still, OKC has its challenges. A recent report ranked Oklahoma the second worst state to live in, citing reasons like unpredictable weather, high uninsured rates, drug problems, and rising homelessness. These issues have kept many Americans from considering the Sooner State as a relocation hotspot. On the plus side, affordability is a major draw. The median home price hovers around $225,000, and rent averages $1,100 per month. With new job opportunities in energy, aviation, and healthcare, young families and remote workers are quietly building lives here, away from the chaos of more packed metros. Culturally, Oklahoma City is on the rise. The Bricktown district offers cool restaurants and riverwalk views, and the OKC Thunder keeps sports fans engaged. But you'll still find stretches of empty highway, wide-open fields, and peaceful suburbs just minutes from downtown. So if you want big city perks without the people-packed headaches, Oklahoma City might be America's best-kept secret. Number 1. Anchorage, Alaska. This city is huge in every way, except people. With a population of about 287,000 spread across a jaw-dropping 1,700 or 76.9 square miles, Anchorage has a population density of just 168 people per square mile. That's not a typo. You could fit the entire city of San Francisco 36 times inside Anchorage, and it would still be less crowded. Alaska, as a whole, is the least densely populated state in the U.S., with just 1.3 people per square mile. So it's no surprise that even its largest city feels more like a quiet, snow-covered frontier town than a bustling urban hub. And here's a fun fact. Anchorage is twice the size of Rhode Island in land area. Yep, 1 city, 2 states worth of room. So why is Anchorage so empty? First, it's isolated. It's over 1,400 miles from Seattle, and you can't just hop in a car and drive there easily. Then there's the economy, limited job options, especially outside of oil, military, and government work. And let's not ignore the cost of living. Alaska is the 5th most expensive state, and groceries, fuel, and housing cost a premium thanks to shipping. Anchorage's median home price is about $410,000, and rent averages $1,600 per month. Despite this, the city offers stunning nature, tight-knit communities, and the Northern Lights as your backyard light show. But it's not for everyone. Between long, dark winters, rugged terrain, and limited access to the lower 48, most people simply aren't built for the Alaskan lifestyle. Yet, for those who are, Anchorage is paradise. You can hike, ski, fish, and breathe the cleanest air in the country, all without ever hitting rush hour. So yes, it's cold, remote, and wild, but that's exactly why some call Anchorage the greatest empty city in America.